Hey guys, what's going on? So in this video, we'll be talking about the 9 signs of a toxic female or 9 red flags that are the most crucial if you want to build a successful and meaningful relationship with a woman. Now, the purpose of this video will not be to bash women. The purpose of this video will not be to demean women. It's simply a guideline and just something that I've learned from my own experience to help you if you want to build a successful and meaningful relationship with a woman. If you want to date casually and similar, this is not the channel for you, so you can just skip this video. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. Now, there are 9 signs, but at the same time, you can apply an overall principle that you can use to be a guideline for you. And that is to only pursue a woman whose conduct you would want your future daughter to emulate or to have. So, what can this mean in a practical example? Well, you can use social media. If you see her Instagram profile and you would potentially want your future daughter to have the same Instagram profile as her, then she passes that test or test. I don't like the idea of tests and stuff like that, but yeah, what I wanted to say is if her Instagram profile raises a red flag and you're like, I would never want my future daughter to have an Instagram or whichever social profile like this, then I think it's time to move on to another woman who is maybe more worth pursuing for a meaningful relationship. Now, without further ado, let's begin with the red flag number 1, and that is that your attention is not enough. She seeks for more outside of you two. Now, from my own personal experience dating girls who have like around 10,000 followers or 100,000 followers on social media, I can give you this. So, I'm going to give you a concrete mathematical formula. So, the number of followers a girl has on social media times the level of how provocative her photos are equals the degree to which you're cooked. So that's just a rule of thumb. You want to use it. Like, you want to use it. Okay, maybe she has a lot of followers, but her photos are not provocative and she is promoting, I don't know, like a cooking business for women or something like that. That's a totally different story, but that's why we have 2 variables. So the number of followers, provocative level of photos or posts equals degree to which you're cooked. Okay, now red flag number 2, if you are a principled man, if you're in your masculine energy or purpose driven and you want to build something meaningful with a woman, is masculine energy from her side and masculine behavior. Now, I'm gonna give you a story where I was with this girl and man, we were at a pizza restaurant and she was so obsessed at being the dominant one that she insisted to, I can't describe the degree to which she insisted to pay for the meal. It was like literally you were arguing with her to pay. And when I was like, I'm gonna pay, she ran to the waiter with the money and shoved it in his hands, like to that degree. So, and she was like masculine overall, so yeah, it was a uninteresting experience. But at the same time, what I want to say, at the same time, you can see this demeanor in 2 more cases. For example, you are walking by and there are these group of girls, and they're calling each other bros. Like, that's, I don't know, like that's the most unattractive thing you can hear. Like, women calling each other bros, I would use the word disgusting, honestly. And at the same time, you have another thing. If you hear a woman cursing and using like really foul words and, you know, extremely bad curse words, you are gonna have a hard time getting a truly feminine woman and to hear her curse. So that's one indicator. Another indicator, women calling each other bros, and yeah, like overall masculine energy, big turn off. And like I said, it's if you are a principled man, you are working on yourself, you are working on your passion, you are working on your business, you're working on 9 to 5, doesn't matter, but you're progressing, you have a positive trajectory, and once again you're in your masculine energy, it's gonna be hard to build something with a woman who is in masculine energy as well. Okay, so female red flag number 3 are mixed signals and inconsistency. Now, you have, like, from my experience, and if you haven't experienced this already, you brace yourself, because you can experience the following. You can have a period with a woman where she's love bombing you, where she's so, you know, lovey-dovey, right? And then she pulls back. She retreats, she maybe even starts ghosting you, and then if she sees that that's not working, she maybe comes back a month later or 2 weeks later, it doesn't matter, like nothing happened, right? Like zero accountability, and she starts love bombing you again. And so what happens is she gives you just enough scrums for you to stay and to chase that feeling, but when she pulls it back, you start to become anxious and you want to chase that feeling back. So just be aware of that. You can't really build a meaningful and serious relationship with women like this. You want stability, you want to build on something that's stable, not on something that's unstable. And at the same time, how can you actually see if you're in this cycle? Well, like as a man, honestly, I mostly use logic when it comes to determining my next like actions and figuring things out. However, I think this is a case where it doesn't necessarily have to be like this, but if you feel uneasy in that dynamic, like if you feel uneasy, you can't really explain it maybe, but you just feel uneasy, that could be an indicator that you are being, I would say, manipulated in this way of like showing you mixed signals for you to get hooked, okay? So that's it for that. Okay, now female red flag number 4, too many male friends. And from my experience, I can categorize these type of women into 2 categories. Like, I don't want to do this, but this is just for guideline purposes. So you have on one side someone, female, who is keeping her options, you know, having these men as backup. Or on the other side, she can use them for validation. Or the third one is that she is masculine and she enjoys, you know, masculine companionship. You know, if she has like one male friend who is like, but even one, like, I really don't know masculine men having like girl friends, and I really don't know feminine women who are not craving attention from male partners having like male friends. Like, it's just an observation that is not really aligned with what's maybe trying to be pushed, like, you know, men and women can be friends and stuff like that. Like, yeah, okay, sure. Okay, so female red flag number 5 is constantly feeling triggered and attacked personally for whatever you say. Not necessarily whatever you say, but you know, if you say something a little bit potentially triggering, you know, that should maybe cause like 2 out of 10 trigger reaction or 3 out of 10 trigger reaction. In her case, it's like a 10 out of 10 trigger reaction. So for example, I had a date with this girl, and it was the first date, and I don't know what was the context, but jokingly I said, and something in the lines of like motherhood is beautiful and that women should primarily be, mothers and wives. And man, like the death stare I got from her, and the amount of trigger, it's out of this world. And yeah, you can, I wouldn't say test it, but you can see it if you constantly have to walk on eggshells around her, or if you mention something that's slightly controversial, right? But but her emotions get amplified times 10, and she reacts accordingly. So you don't want to build something with a woman like this, because you're gonna, once again, constantly walk on eggshells, and whatever you say, you always have to invest energy to calm her down, and you just don't want to do that if you want a peaceful and a wholesome life with your future wife or meaningful long-term relationship. Female red flag number 6 is phone addiction and digital overstimulation. So from my experience, I've seen women like this are usually the ones who don't have hobbies. So they default to the Instagram scrolling or TikTok scrolling or whatever. So when you ask, so you can basically scout for this if you ask her for her hobbies. And if she says, oh, I go, swimming in the morning, then I read a book, then I'm doing this, then I'm doing that, then I'm out with my friends, and she has her whole day filled, then you can probably assume that she is not in this category. However, if she's like, oh, nothing, like I don't have any hobbies, I don't have, I don't do anything, you can, with a high degree of certainty, assume that the hobbies are actually scrolling Instagram, watching TV shows, watching TV series. You don't want that, because it's basically it's a vice, being not necessarily unproductive, but falling into sloth, So once again, if you're ambitious, if you are driven, if you want something serious with a woman, you don't want to fall into this. Particularly for one more reason, is because if you doom scroll a lot, if you spend a lot of time on social media, you get a lot of personalized content that's not necessarily for your benefit. And spend enough time there, you're gonna start believing whatever is being pushed through your algorithm. And once again, it's not always in your best interest. So in her case, it might be some, let's say feminist propaganda, and she might start believing it. Not might, but if she's spending like 3 or 4 hours a day watching through videos like that, there's a high possibility. So just a guideline for you. You can pursue it if you want or not. Like, it's up to you. I'm just giving you from my experience what I've learned and what I've observed. So let's move on. Okay, now female red flag number 7, I believe, is victim mindset and ex-boyfriend bashing. So if you're on the first date and you started talking about previous relationships, like you're talking about yours, she's talking about hers, and her first relationship, oh, the guy was abusive, he was narcissistic, he was toxic, and second relationship, oh man, this guy was insanely toxic as well, he was narcissistic, he was, abusive, or whichever words, and she named like 10 relationships like that, or 2 or 3 is enough, and she bashes them. But at the same time, if you ask her, like, okay, so what have you learned from those relationships, and what was your role in not making the relationship better, let's say, you are just gonna get a confused look. Because from women like this, that there's no accountability. There is no introspection. There's more of a victim mindset, and it's the outside's fault and not mine. Now, I'm not saying there are, of course, some abusive men, but if every experience was, like that, and I'm not going into the hard stuff like beating and things. Those are terrible things, and these people should be sanctioned properly. But once again, if you hear stuff like, oh, he was so narcissistic and toxic, and all of them were like that, and zero accountability from her side, you might wanna slow things down or just avoid any further pursuit in general. Okay, so female red flag number 8 is lack of modesty. If she is dressing a certain way, and we already touched a little bit on this, but if she is dressing a certain way, that's a disrespect towards her, towards you, and she's with you in a relationship. You just don't want to. First of all, in a lot of cases, it comes from insecurity. I know there's propaganda that they want to potentially label you not wanting your girl to dress provocatively as you're controlling or whatever. But at the same time, I really don't care that they are trying to push this. In terms of, I don't care to share my opinion. I don't want my woman or future wife to dress provocatively. I want her to save that for me, And if somebody is trying to shame you for that, just know, if somebody is trying to shame you for having an opinion like this, just know that it's a potential manipulation tactic, because shame is a powerful tool. So, yeah, watch out for that. Lack of modesty is a big one. And finally, female red flag number 1 is the hyper-independent mindset, or I don't need anyone mindset. And it can get showcased as, well, like I said, like the sentence, I don't need anyone, I don't need your help, I can do all by myself, I am self-sufficient, and it's okay to be independent, right? But it's not the final destination when it comes to your maturity. When you reach from dependence to independence, you want to strive for interdependence. And the most interdependent construction in this society is marriage. So if you want a serious relationship or pursue a marriage and you are with a woman like this, it's gonna be really hard, because if she doesn't have the interdependence mindset, and the interdependence mindset is we instead of I, like we can do this, we can do that, instead of I can do this, I can do that. So yeah, those are the 9 red flags I wanted for you guys to watch out for. And once again, if you are interested in personal coaching, you can visit the website, theprincipledman.com. We can assess your individual situation, and we can work from there to see what's up in your life, what you need to improve in order to get better results. That is it for this video. I'm signing out.